We're back at Disneyland, and boy does it feel good to be back home. The sun is shining, there's not a cloud in the sky over Main Street, USA, and apparently it's Christmas. Boy, oh boy, was that fast. When I left California less than 2 weeks ago, there was a giant winking Mickey Mouse jack-o'-lantern right there. And now look at this. It looks like Santa Claus is about to appear and give me presents. I know I've said this before and I'll say it again too, but would you look at the size of that tree? It's gargantuan. It's easy to get used to seeing it every year and not appreciate just how large it is. But that's 12 alleys, 12 5-foot-tall people standing on top of each other. It's like a 6-story building. It's nice to see this thing, but it's kind of weird because if nothing else, this absolutely proves that there is no longer any such thing as an off-season at Disneyland. It used to be back in the day when people came from out of town. I would tell them, come in the off season, come between celebrations, like between Halloween and Christmas. The crowds are lighter during that time, but nowadays, not only do they switch holidays so fast it'll make your head spin, but it seems like even in between the holidays, they'll find any excuse they can to turn the park day into some sort of special celebration, whether it's the anniversary of a park or the anniversary of the whole company, the anniversary of a ride, a character's birthday. It's almost like a liturgical calendar of sorts, you know what I mean? Every day is a Disney celebration of some kind. And then to cap that off, the cherry on top. Add to that you now have flexible ticket pricing. The ticket prices change depending on the seasons of the year, meaning they get cheaper when there's less demand. And add the reservation system into it so that people can't go when it's crowded. And it means you pretty much have a solid stream of visitors now at all seasons of the year. You might still get the odd day or two here and there where Main Street will be empty and the lines will be short, or for just some reason nobody decided to go to Disneyland that day. But those days are getting fewer and farther between out here, and less predictable. Hey, look at this! It's good old Steve driving the fire truck. Steve is always in that truck. He's been driving that thing up and down Main Street for so many years, they actually call the truck Mrs. Finley. Get it? Like it's like his wife. Only Steve's been driving this fire truck longer than most marriages last these days. Yeah, you might get rid of your normal wife, but you never get rid of your fire truck wife, huh? Unless it's for your horse wife. Your horse wife's important too. Horse wife's a heck of a thing. A rare breed nowadays. A horse wife. A man and his horse wife. It's old-timey. Believe me, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just happy to be here. As some of you know, I was just in Disneyland Paris just for Halloween day and night itself. But as much as I like France and I love Disneyland Paris, it was weird going from about 80 degrees here to about 40 degrees over there, which is degrees Celsius. I can't do Celsius. Celsius sucks. So anyway, I'm pretty happy to be back home in the warm glow of the Southern California sunshine. It's also nice to be back where I speak the language, for the most part. It's funny, because whatever step down in height we might take from Disneyland Paris's castle back to our own, we at least make up for in the charm of knowing this is Walt Disney's original castle, his original dream theme park. And no matter how busy it gets or how many things they changes or curbs they delete, it'll always have that incredible magic of being one man's vision, one man's dream, brought to life, of course, by a very talented and very large team of artists and engineers and creative people. The original Magic Kingdom, which means, at least for Walt Disney, it's a place where dreams really did come true, where wishes really did become a reality. He had a dream of making millions of people happy, and it's a dream that's still coming true today. Wait a minute, what's that sound? Something's happening over at the castle. Here comes the Disneyland Band! Oh look, here comes Mickey! It's just so crazy because this is like what you see in a commercial. You never think you're gonna just see all these characters chilling in front of the castle like this. But it's real! Disneyland magic is real. Oh, gonna show us how to march. Go, Goofy! You can do it! Yeah! A man after my own heart, or a dog, or whatever Goofy is. Hey, Mickey! See you later! Off they go, on their march down Main Street, USA. See you guys! Look at that! So crazy, just like all those 90s commercials, like I was saying, like when you used to watch the Disney Channel or something like that. incredible. See, the magic still lives. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look how clear the walkway is to the Matterhorn for some reason at the moment. That means we got a clear shot at this. The best kept secret in the park. It's the picture spot, the perfect place to get the perfect picture. All right, get ready, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get the perfect picture. I don't know why they put this bench in the way. Here it is. Fun pick! Oh, we nailed it. What a fun one. Gosh, I'm happy to see the Matterhorn again. It's a mountain they've got in no other Disney park in the world. And as much as it's fun to go to other parks and see what's similar to the original Disneyland, to me it's a lot more fun when each park has something unique about it, something different from the other parks. So the more I travel around, the more I appreciate the mighty Matterhorn. I'm also just stoked that it's opened up again since the last time I was out here at Disneyland. I've always had a soft spot for the old Matterhorn, maybe because I grew up being able to see it pretty much from my house. Normally, I'm one of the guys that's like, dude, we gotta go on the Matterhorn. I don't care how much it hurts my back, or how bumpy it is, or how many snowmen there are. And crowd or no crowd, even out here by myself, I'd be jumping headlong right this very instant into the single rider line, except, well, the very last day I was in Paris, something sort of embarrassing happened. Allie and I had just finished eating at this all gluten-free restaurant right by the Eiffel Tower that had lasagna for me and everything. I was so excited that I decided to start filming the morning announcements, a little Patreon special video, when just like Alice into Wonderland, all of a sudden I fell. And in case you're wondering if that hurt, yes, it hurt a lot. Normally, when I fall down like that, I usually get up and say something like, oh, nothing's hurt but my pride and my dignity. Don't worry, I'm okay. But this time I was pretty sure I cracked some ribs or maybe broke my shoulder or something. Allie was like, well, you want to get an x-ray? And I was like, not in France. We're going back home first. But now I've had a couple days. I'm still bruised. I'm still really sore. Having trouble with the left arm. But I don't think anything's broken. I think I'm okay. And at least I have this piece of footage to amuse us all. Ate it right there. Ow. Anyway, now you understand why I'm sort of cruising around, soaking in the magic, and not really getting on a bunch of rides. Man, it's funny now to think about how Disneyland used to have miniature boats out here, the same way they have miniature cars with the Autopia attraction. It was the old Motorboat cruise attraction, and the edges of it went all the way from the borders of the submarine lagoon itself, kind of over in this area, all the way back to where Autopia twists and turns now. It's very hard to tell these days, but see this bridge over here in Autopia that you can see? Kind of right next to the submarine lagoon. I mean, the bushes have grown up, but it used to turn around under that bridge, so the motorboat cruise would come here, it'd go backwards. At one point, there used to be 3 Autopias here at Disneyland. 2 of them used to share this area, and as Autopia has been reconfigured over the years and consolidated, more and more of the old motorboat cruise route has been filled in there. Not a lot of water left in the Autopia track itself. One of my favorite places in the park ever since that attraction closed, I want to say in 1993 off the top of my head, has been this over here, this little dock sticking out into this strange watery area right in the shadow of the Matterhorn mountain itself. Almost literally, that dock right over there was in one of my earliest Disneyland history videos here at the park, as this little lagoon here was the loading and unloading area of the old motorboat cruise. And for years after it closed, this dock was just sort of abandoned, just sort of hanging out there, and it became a smoking area, which of course is like a magnet for ne'er-do-well 90s teenagers. So when I finally got an annual pass, I spent a lot of time hanging out there at night, mostly because it was just sort of a weird dead end, out of the way. And actually, even when I filmed that first video about the motorboat cruise, and I've got to do an updated one soon, you didn't have nearly these kind of crowds, and you didn't have Edelweiss snacks over here using up the whole pier as a very popular and very busy seating area now. I think Edelweiss snacks opened up in like 2009 or so. I think London was about 2 years old. And of course, before it opened up out here with its turkey legs and bratwurst and cheesy garlic pretzel bread and whatnot, back when it was just the smoking area, there was nothing going on here. A lot of hangouts, like I said. But I feel like even after it opened, for the first couple years out here, it was never really busy. And so even though the motorboat cruise was far from Disneyland's greatest ever ride or anything like that, this was always such a great place to come and hang out that I always ended up spending a lot of time thinking about the old extinct attraction, and then that of course led me to think about other extinct attractions and just sort of cemented my love, even as a ne'er-do-well teenager, for forgotten Disney lore, old extinct attractions, things like that. Gotta watch out for those hazard ducks out here. But have you been watching long enough to have seen the old motorboat cruise video? That is old school when it comes to Disney YouTube, which is pretty strange to think about now in its own right. Weird. Now, just in case you've never seen that video, or my time travel videos, or heard of the motorboat cruise before, here's some footage of it, just so you're convinced that I'm not just making it up off the top of my head. There it is, the old Disneyland motorboat cruise. How exciting, what a fun one. You gotta forgive me for reminiscing a little bit. It's all I can do with the crushed ribs. I've become one of those older men who has to find a bench and take a little rest. Hey, what's going on here? Ooh, is that the new Little Mermaid? I think this is my first time seeing her out here. Anyway, I forgot the original point of the whole motorboat cruise talk. Hey, we'll just leave that in. Leave it all in. What a fun one. That used to be like one of my go-to little hidden nooks and crannies of Disneyland to get away from the crowds, get away from everybody else with your popcorn. But now, it's always full. Luckily, this area is still pretty good to escape to every once in a while, especially during the middle of the day like this. But once the Christmas overlay opens, this will be packed too. So any day now, there won't be hiding here. My other go-to area is all the way across the park. Actually, let's head that way now. Anyway, you know how earlier I was saying I grew up right by this mountain? You can see it from my house, and I've spoken many times about how my grandma's house is across the street, and so when we were there, we could see the fireworks at night. I get that to some people that may sound like what the kids call a flex these days, but let me assure you, I've got friends who lived in other countries, much less other states, who came to Disneyland a lot more than we got to when we were kids, so having it close by always put it on your mind, and it was cool to hear big explosions and fireworks in the sky every night. But sometimes it was like torture, just wishing you could come to Disneyland and watching all the tourists go by, and you're like, I just want to go in there. I think that's why no matter how busy and insane it gets out here, I always feel so excited and so grateful for the opportunity to be allowed to walk through Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's Wendy. I almost never see Wendy out here in California. I think I've literally seen Wendy more times in France than I've seen her here. Weird. Look at her, she's just hanging out on the side of the road with her nightgown and everything. Go to bed, Wendy. Anyway, you know how you hear those stories about people like, when I was younger, all my toys got thrown away, and it was always my dream to have as many toys as I wanted. Then they got to open a toy store or something like that. It's sort of like how it was for me as a kid. It's like my dream was to just get to go to Disneyland whenever I want. I think that's how it is for a lot of us, like grown-up Disneyland fans. You know, it's way less about coming to someplace that's trendy or cool or on the cusp of Instagrammable or something, and more about nostalgia, like deep-rooted memories and dreams from childhood and stuff like that. It's funny. It used to be really difficult to sort of like kind of explain that. When people go, you're a grown-up, what do you like Disneyland for? You used to be the odd man out trying to explain to yourself. The other day I was in a conversation where there was somebody else trying to explain why they didn't really enjoy Disney parks, and they were on the back foot. It's definitely interesting how much things have changed in just 10 years or so. And I'm sure they'll change again. There's definitely people who still don't enjoy places like this. Whether it's the crowds or the costs or the inconvenience, or they're just not impressed by rides. Like, I have a lot of friends who hate coming to Disneyland, but they love going to Six Flags all day, you know, or someplace like that. Where to me, I like the rides, I like thrill attractions, but it's not about the rides. Rides are way, not even second or third for me, they're way down the list. Something about atmosphere, theming, craftsmanship, and most importantly, something about connecting to that childhood part of yourself, like your imagination or something like that. I guess Disneyland isn't gonna be the trigger, isn't gonna be the key for everybody the way that it is for me, but for me personally, especially if I take a little time off between trips out here to the park, it sort of unlocks things buried deep down inside. You know, good things, your imagination, the feeling of wonder that you had when you were a kid and everything was brand new. Just inspires me, inspires my imagination, gets my creativity flowing. I don't know, it's a good catalyst for me. Not to mention all my best childhood memories were here with my family and of course with my own kid. I met the love of my life here. I met all of you guys through doing these Disneyland videos later. And then on top of that, there's the whole growing up across the street. Of course, my grandparents are gone. I can't go back to their house, but I can go back to Disneyland. It smells the same, it feels the same, some of the sounds are the same. So when I say Disneyland is home to me, I mean it in a really like tangible way, you know what I mean? It's weird because growing up, I always thought I was the only person that felt that way. A lot of my high school friends and stuff couldn't stand Disneyland. They wanted to get far away from it. Maybe it was just a teenage thing, but turns out through these videos and stuff, for the last 10 years, I've met so many kindred spirits from around the world who feel just as strongly about this place as I do, which is amazing. I mean, I'm still a total freak. I'm just not as much of a freak as I thought I was. Yay! Psh, look at all these people waiting for the Sword in the Stone. Taking pictures over here. They're doing it wrong. Everybody knows if you want the best pics, you gotta follow the signs. See, look at this. Pulling that sword is pointless. You gotta line things up like this right here. Look at that. That's the perfect pic. See, pulling the sword is pointless. It's over here where the action is. Come on, check it out. Ready? Fun pic! Now that's worthy of being a Christmas card. Anyway, I completely forgot my original intention was to get across Fantasyland real quick. So much for that plan.
Belle, I'm almost there, but wait.
Run, Belle, run!
I can't catch up. These kids are holding me back.
Gaston's trying to get her. Good job, little girl. Stop him. There's just too many distractions over here to move quickly. I wanted to check up on one of those other old school secret nooks and crannies that hasn't been so old school or secret in recent years, but there's been a lot of changes over there. Anyway, speaking of distractions, I don't want to sound like a whiner or a complainer or a person who's like, things are better the way they used to be. But see this right here? This thing right next to the Pinocchio ride? Do you know what this is? This was Geppetto's toy shop. For some reason, when Frozen came out, it was transformed into like a royal reception area. They had a little Olaf on the roof. You could meet Anna and Elsa in here, and it never got put back to being Geppetto's toy shop ever again. The only reason I bring this up is because I was just in Paris, a couple of days ago. And over there, they have the same building next to Pinocchio's ride over there. And it was open. I got to see Geppetto's toy shop in its full glory once again, where the whole inside is full of all Geppetto's little carvings, little facsimiles, little replicas of the stuff from the movie. And I know maybe today's kids aren't as familiar with Pinocchio as they used to be, but it is weird being right next to Pinocchio's ride with something the same shape as Geppetto's workshop, and it's not open. It's a perfect place to sell toys. Come on. I'm hoping one day Geppetto's is restored to its full glory. Ooh, speaking of restored to its full glory, looks like Pinocchio's down for the moment. Weird. I love the little signposts in Fantasyland. They're so unrelated as Disneyland signs. They're so cute. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, getting out of here. It was my most sincere goal today to keep today's adventure super short. Owing mostly to the fact that I did fall down earlier, as you remember. And it does hurt still very, very badly. I can feel the ibuprofen wearing off now.
What a wuss, eh, Wilbur?
You said it, Ed. I thought you guys were my friends. You guys are mean. Anyway, I'm getting out of this land now, and I'm heading somewhere where there's some wide open spaces where people appreciate a man of my talent. Someplace where the sun never sets on opportunity and adventure. Hey, Flynn Rider and what's her name? Rapunzel. They're standing over there in the bushes. Cool. You know, I've still never been in this thing. Ever. Weird. Nobody ever wants to stand in line with me to meet the princesses. See what I'm saying about distractions? I almost forgot. We're getting out of this area and heading out west. And not just out to any old part of the west, but to the oldest part of the west. To the old... West. It's not as easy to hold those notes as it used to be, kids. Yes, welcome back to Frontierland. It's not my final destination, as it were, but it is on the way. And I do love me some Old West. And if there's one thing I love almost as much as I love Disneyland itself, it's the Old West. And I mean all forms of the Old West. The actual Old West, like the real history, the tourist stuff, the theme park stuff, the old movies. Wait a minute, what is this? Oh my gosh, why would they put this one so far out of reach? A fun pic! I think I got it. I love all the Old Wests that are and will be and never were.
Hey, no claim jumping, and keep your water bottles out of the lake, garn sarn it.
Well, you know, speaking of Old West voices and Disneyland Paris, I hate to bring up Paris, but one more time. I didn't have time to point this out while we were actually there, but I noticed on the platform waiting to get on Big Thunder Mountain that they're still using recordings of Dow McKinnon, the original voice actor for Big Thunder Mountain. He was also the original voice of Gumby. See, there's nothing wrong with the new guy, the best remove him guy, he's fine. But it was nice to hear that old school recording again, that old familiar voice.
Please keep your hands and arms inside the train and remain seated at all times. Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
You guys know the Gumby's voice? was the old school Big Thunder voice. Did you know that, huh? Did you? There's a little Disney fact for you.
A little gold nugget for your brain. Speaking of gold nuggets, remember the mine train through nature's wonderland?
Wouldn't that be great if some version of that came back? A lot of wasted space back here still. Come on, Disney Town.
If you're gonna change everything, you might as well add some more rides.
Anyway, I love it over here. I love the rivers of America. Any quiet spot you can find along them, which brings me back to my original purpose. Going and finding the old little sneaky spot. And I'm guessing most of you have already figured out exactly where I'm going with this. Back in the old days, before the dark times, before reservations, back when an annual pass was an annual pass, and we used to have sort of off days, before the phantasmic reservations and fast passes, the days of yore. Just about the best place to get away from the crowds, such as they were in the park. The best place to get a little space all to yourself was that beautiful little path over here behind Fowler's Harbor. Look at this, the whole pathway is closed right now. Completely hindbucked by construction.
Not only on the Mark Twain riverboat, who I hear is getting the entire bottom of the boat replaced, the old steam generators thrown away, but also, of course, by construction on what used to be Splash Mountain. Our old friend, hindbucked by destiny and progress. You can actually see they are torching off the rebar that led up to the old tree up on Chickapin Hill. It's all being removed and changed for Tiana. Well, they're either torching off old rebar, old structural steel, or they're welding together new stuff. Either way, they're using a torch up there. Pretty sweet, man. Hey, what kind of torch is that? Is that a 2230? Yeah, I got one of them in the garage. Man.
I know stuff. I got a torch. It's little, but I got one. I use it to burn stuff like wood. Anyway, there was that whole little path back here. You know the one that was all quiet and peaceful. Sort of secret, usually just annual pass holders finding a spot to sit or sleep, get a little rest at a table back here, and best of all, it afforded the best views of people cruising by in their Splash Mountain logs right down there. There's so much construction now in Splash Mountain and all the canals, and over here on the Mark Twain riverboat that they basically closed off that whole seating area and the path back there, and you can see construction equipment and stuff back there. I don't want to be peeping where we're not supposed to peep, but that's right out in the open. I guess that little sneak away path is closed to us at the moment. That's kind of what I wanted to come check out. It's funny though, because it hasn't really been that sneaky in a long time, because so many people made videos and TikToks and things about, did you know about the secret path? Don't give away all the secrets. What are you thinking? It's like how you used to be able to come in the parking garage, just pull all the way to the right. There would never be a line for that to scan your thing for parking. And everyone had to make a video about it. Ruined it!
Oh well, we can't hold on to our secrets forever. Look at that.
That is wild. I love Splash Mountain. Can't wait to see the new ride. It's going to be exciting to see something new rise from the ashes. And, you know, I know this one and the Florida one especially had structural problems that we're going to have to rebuild them and probably re-theme them anyways. And I knew about it for years before they announced it, that they were going to do something. I knew about the Tiana part since at least 2019. I can't say how I knew, but I did know. And I knew about the Country Bears being hindbucked in Florida. A lot of changes that were coming up. Just, I never thought they would happen. They announce all kinds of changes. I hear all kinds of rumors from people at the company and people that work at the parks, but you never think they're going to come true like that. Anyway, that reminds me, actually, before Splash Mountain began closing, even before it closed in Florida, I began a series of Splash Mountain wood carvings that, because of Splash Mountain's closing, all the uproar, and then me flying to Florida to close out that Splash Mountain, and then dealing with closing out this Splash Mountain when that finally came, sort of really procrastinated on, and they've just been hanging out in my garage in various states of unfinishedness. And the biggest and best one I've done so far, my own original take on a Briar patch sign, is now finished at home. I guess I should probably show you guys that when we're done with the park stuff here. Anyway, it's weird to come out here at the moment. It's between the seasons. I thought that would make it a light, sort of easy day. I thought that would make it sort of a lightly crowded day, you know, lots of elbow room. I still have the olden days imprinted on my mind when that would happen. You'd come between Halloween and Christmas and nobody wanted to be out here, especially on a weekday. But even with this construction, look, even with all the walls and everything, there's a lot of people back here. Even Winnie the Pooh's got a line. Help, Pooh. That's okay. Winnie the Pooh is an awfully gentle ride, but I don't think I could even ride Winnie the Pooh at the moment. My ribs are really killing me. I gotta get some of that ibuprofen from the car or something.
I'm going down. Lord help me, I'm going down.
It's just so weird seeing Splash Mountain like this. It's real.
I mean, so far it's all felt like just sort of a refurb or something because they haven't opened the Tiana's Bayou adventure ride anywhere in Orlando or here yet. It's still almost sort of surreal, like it could come back. Like it's just getting refurbished and it'll be back.
Nope, no more Brer Rabbit's house. No more Mr. Bluebird's house out here. Heck, even the snacking place has already been renamed.
Well, at least the old snacking place sign is gone anyway. Now all that's left to tell the tale out here at Disneyland is the sign on the Briar Patch store, which I've covered in some detail before, that it used to be the old Indian trading post when this was the Indian Village at Disneyland.
Gone into depth about that and shown you old footage and pictures many times. And I think at Halloween I showed you guys this. The Briar Patch sign is weirdly still out here, but inside they have removed the carvings of Brer Fox, Brer Bear, and Brer Rabbit that once hung in here and replaced them with this owl and the bear you just saw. And that bear where Brer Fox used to hang out. I'm sure the employees in there are sick of us coming by to look at them and lament the loss. Again, it's not like, you know, I'm not over it or whatever. I'm like, oh, it's horrible. It's more like it's still just surreal and trippy. Like that thing was here most of my life, 1989, right? It was the first sort of big new thing in Disneyland, you know, that I can remember them putting in. I mean, I guess Star Tours was really first, but I really have no memory of that other than people saying that it was new. This is gonna sound like a little bit crazy, but it almost feels like they just put it in. How could they rip it out? So it's just sort of trippy in a weird way. I don't know if that makes any sense. Well, anyway, the point is I finished one of my series of Splash Mountain carvings. This is the biggest, most elaborate one that I've done, and or at least finished or gotten this close to finishing. I'll show you that as soon as we're done with the park. But look at that. Look at that old pirate ship. Watch out for pirates and scalawags and corruption and what's another word for pirate? Other things on there. Actually, it's a replica of an American ship that sailed around the world. It's not meant to be a pirate ship, but come on, that's a pirate ship. And every kid knows it. That's why every kid wants to ride that boat. I rarely rode that when I was a kid, actually. Seems like it was always out of service and only the Mark Twain was going, probably. Because when I was really little, we would only get to come during the off season, like around my birthday, you know, late March. I remember another good dead zone being like February, any day other than Valentine's Day, but even Valentine's Day wasn't too busy. I would always tell people that's when you gotta come, February into March. It's perfect before spring break, you know. Well, now that time of year is kind of busy. Or I would tell them, come in September right when school starts, but before Halloween, but now Halloween starts in like August. Wouldn't be a problem, but to this very day, people always ask me, when's the best time to come? When is it not as crowded? Don't get me wrong, there are still plenty of like not crowded, not busy days at Disneyland every once in a while. They're just much, much harder to predict. It's a lot harder to recommend a season. This reminds me, by the way, standing over here, that this area is also getting changed in the whole Splash Mountain kerfuffle, because they're gonna add a gift shop that sort of marries the sort of Louisiana architecture of this with the Louisiana architecture supposedly of the Tiana's Bayou ride. They put their own version of Memento Mori in Florida, the Haunted Mansion gift shop, right over here in this area. Kind of strange, this is all gonna look different. When I started doing this, I was really eager to cover every change at Disneyland, every update, because change was so rare, you know. They had the big hits, they were the most popular park in town, you know, and they stuck with what worked. But in the last 7 or 8 years alone, they've changed so much out here. Everything from rides to seating areas to sidewalks and curbs and gosh, you name it, everything. And the pace of the changes has gotten so rapid and continuous out here that it's almost like, call me when stuff stops changing. Like, look at this treehouse here. Anyone who's been watching me for a while knows I have a heck of a love-hate relationship with this thing. I love the history, I'm just afraid of the heights. Well, not afraid of the heights, afraid of plummeting from them. This thing opens up literally at the end of the week, and I had an opportunity to go out of town and film something, and I was debating, should I stay here for the treehouse? And I remembered how scared I am up there, and it'll be pretty crowded opening day with just people trying to film it and take pictures and stuff. Gotten so crazy now, I've decided to skip at least the opening day because I know I'll get way too claustrophobic up there. But, as any of you know that have been watching for a while, I grew up on the old Swiss Family Robinson. I loved the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse, even though I was terrified of it forever, especially the older I got and the bigger and taller I got. I could hear the Swiska polka coming out of that thing. It's an exciting change, I'm ready for it. I'm just not in a hurry to be first in line anymore. Dude, a retro re-theming like that back in the day would be such huge news. I'd be dying to get, you know, one of the first looks at it, filming it or not, back in the day. But now I'm just so numb. Everything changes so quick and so often. It's almost like, yeah, I'll see it. It is pretty cool though. I never really liked it as the
Tarzan treehouse. It is pretty cool though. Never preferred the Tarzan treehouse, always preferred the original. Maybe it's just because I wasn't a huge Phil Collins fan. You know, I mean, casual fan. Just not a huge one. Actually, getting closer to looking at it now, I am getting a little excited to go check it out. You ever go in the old Swiss Family Robinson treehouse? They still have it at Walt Disney World. They still have it in Paris. You ever watch that old movie? I think we got it on Disney Plus. We started cutting back, so I canceled it at the moment. And I'm pretty sure it's still on there. Just watch out, it's got one of those warnings on it. Disney movies are very offensive. Anyway, guys, I want to stick around. I want to do more stuff, but I think that's all literally my ribs can stand for one day. Time to go home and get some ibuprofen. I'll take you home. I'll show you that carving as soon as we get there. I really thought this was going to be different. I thought we were going to come down here and be like, oh, isn't it nice to come between the seasons? But as you can see, there's no such thing as an off-season anymore. It doesn't just mean crowds. That means holidays and celebration seasons as well. Because as you've seen, it's already Christmas out here. There's still Halloween decorations up at my house. I gotta get home and help take them down. I didn't know it was the Lord's birthday already. What's crazy is it's always decorated for a holiday now, or it's undergoing construction in between a big anniversary, right? They did the 100th castle and all that. Now, Christmas castle, of course. But just think about this. We're only like a year and a half away, and maybe even less depending on when they start celebrating. Only a year and a half away or so from the 70th anniversary of Disneyland. I'm pretty jet lagged, but I think that's right. So they've almost burned out of this weird 100th anniversary thing. And then, you know, pretty soon it's gonna be like, it's the 70th! It's never gonna stop, my friends, it's never gonna stop. Hopefully they do something big and spectacular for the 70th, and it's not just a label slap merch opportunity like the 100th. I mean, not to be cynical or negative, but that's sort of what it felt like. Hopefully we see something maybe a little more special than that, a little deeper. Speaking of deep, I'll tell you what cuts deep. 70 years. I've now been coming to Disneyland for more than half of its existence. That is so strange. I mean, Walt Disney dying and me being born were less than 20 years apart. I can remember what I was eating 20 years ago. I mean, that's weird. Weird. I was born basically a couple years before the 30th anniversary. I really remember the 35th anniversary, obviously the 40th anniversary, 45th, 50th, 55th, 60th. I mean, when I was a kid and you're like, oh, Disneyland's 30 years old, that felt like, whoa, dude. Disneyland is ancient. It's been here since the dawn of time. That's like dinosaur times. Now I can remember the opening of Splash Mountain, and that was more than 30 years ago. Weird. All right, gang, I love Disneyland, but let's get out of here. We've done our duty here. It's time to leave. What'd you think I was gonna say? Now, obviously, there's a lot more to do in Disneyland and to see than we got around to today. Plus, the Christmas season is gonna be upon us any day now. And not just at this park, but all over Southern California. To say nothing of other states. So there is a lot more coming just ahead. For now, I'm determined to enjoy this warm Southern California weather. I'm gonna try really hard to ignore the fact that everyone thinks it's Christmas and just sort of mentally pretend that there's still an off season between Halloween and the Yuletide time to rest our brains and have some adventures. And actually, we're gonna have a really weird adventure this weekend in Nevada. So keep your eyes peeled, folks. Just got done with more crazy adventures than you could shake a stick at during October, including launching one of 2 new shows we hope to bring you at least before the beginning of 2024. But enough of my yakking. We gotta close this adventure today, friends. So we gotta get back to my house. I'm gonna show you the carving. Let's say goodbye to Disneyland. We'll wrap this up. Dude, what the heck? We get back from France and the time changes. It's like 4:59, super bright outside. 5 p.m., darkness. The garage lights aren't working so well, but I think I can still at least show you the carving that I meant to show. I promised you I would, so I might as well do it. Let's see, right there we go. There it is. Look at that. Far from perfect. It's a little bit weird, but look at the size of it. Look at the size of that Briar patch sign carving. Got the big Briar rabbit right there. Got the Briars all carved. The big old Briar patch words. Next time we're just doing the words, let me tell you, because that rabbit wasn't worth the trouble. I started on it the wrong way, and it was just a struggle. And no one wants to hear about that. But look at that. Look at the size of it. So a little different. I don't think there's ever been a Disney sign like this. Not to my knowledge, anyways. It's sort of an original take on it, if I can make it sound artsy and fancy. But there you go. That's my version. Right there. I'm going to chuck that up on eBay. Anyway, as you can see, I got a lot of other partially and half-finished carvings and tiki things that I've worked on and made that I'll have to filter into the
antique store or something, some of the big ones anyway. I was going to put this thing on eBay, like right now, but I just realized that that's going to have to be local pickup only. There's no way I'm shipping that thing, dude. What if it breaks or something? No way. I mean, it's pretty solid. It's a big, solid chunk of wood, but I don't want to risk it. It's not that I don't like you if you live far away. It's just that you'll have to arrange some other method of shipment. Or get someone to pick it up and ship it for you, because I'm not sure how to pull that off. Anyway, well, we'll figure it out. In the meantime, we've done a lot today. I think it's safe to say
We've done our duty. We can go home and sleep well.
check out the links down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hello, Dale. Bonjour. You look great, Cruella.
Oh, I know, I do. I mean, look at these cheekbones. Is this the rest of the entourage? This is all of it. All right, bring the whole litter.
Can I just ask just one question? When did Buzz Lightyear get so popular? I mean, I know Buzz the character's always been popular. Who doesn't love Buzz Lightyear? I love Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear's my favorite. I like Tony Danza. But look at the size of that line. People love Astro Blast in here. That's all I've got to say. They love Astro Blasting. Astro Blasting. Astro Blasting. Look at no one's over there. Weird. Buzz Lightyear is more popular than Star Wars. Mind blown. Why is it flickering like that? We're not in Europe. No!
Oh, would you look at the size of that service dog? Yeah, you're the man now, dog.